Tuesday Seventh-day Adventists, a revival of original Adventism and ancient Christianity, presents Escape for Thy Life, a program explaining prophecy, current affairs, theological issues, rights and freedoms, health issues, natural disasters, comparative religion, spiritualism, pioneer history, creation versus evolution, escape for thy life. Good day, this is Brother Medina for Tuesday Seventh-day Adventist, and please let us start with a word of prayer. Loving Father, please be with us right now as we enter into this presentation. Bless everyone listening and help them to see the lateness of time. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Well, today our topic is Christian Terrorists Part 1. Christian Terrorists Part 1. And you may be shocked at the name of this study. But the name of this study is geared to show you that Christians are today being called terrorists in the United States of America. Yes, my dear people. And we want to discuss this a little more and show you exactly what is going on in the United States of America, where Christians are beginning to be called domestic terrorists. In the Bible, in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 11, we are told of the rise of the United States of America, and we are told that America will speak like the dragon. Let's read and see what this tells us. I quote Revelation chapter 13 and verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. This beast coming up out of the earth is the United States of America growing up into a nation where there were not once empires that influenced the world existing before. This is identifying America in prophecy. Now he has lamb-like horns, but he speaks like a dragon. What does it mean for America to speak like a dragon? If we look at Revelation chapter 12 and verse 9, it tells us, I quote, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." Clearly, the dragon symbolizes the devil and Satan. We are being told that America will speak like the devil and Satan. We need to ask ourselves, how does Satan speak? In Matthew chapter 4, we are told how the devil speaks. When Jesus faced his three major temptations, the voice of the dragon shows that he attacked the three basic rights of man by attacking Jesus himself. He first told Jesus to turn the stones into bread. Now, bread is an adequate symbol of private property. When you eat it, it goes into your body and belongs to you, nobody else. So Jesus' private property rights were first attacked by the devil. In his second temptation, he took Jesus on top of a temple and told him to jump down, because God will send his angels and they will bear you up that you wouldn't dash your foot against a stone. By this, he attacked Jesus' right to life. He wanted Jesus to jump and die. He attacked Jesus' right to life. And finally, he promised that he would give Jesus all the kingdoms of the world if he would but fall down and worship him. And in this, the dragon attacked Jesus' religious liberty right. So when the dragon speaks, he attacks your three rights: your right to life, your right to private property, and first of all, your religious liberty right. We are told that America will therefore attack those three rights. How do we know that? If we look back at Revelation chapter 13, and first of all, we read verse 12, here is what we are told as to what America will do. I quote, "And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed." Notice he encourages the world to worship the first beast. So America will encourage the world to worship the first beast, which is a type of a power. This, by telling people, by forcing people to worship the first beast, it is people's religious liberty right that America is attacking here. And this is speaking like a dragon. The next thing we are told in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15, I quote, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed." Did you get that? Should be killed. It is your right to life that is being attacked there. And just as the dragon attacked Jesus' right to life. And then if we look at the right of private property in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 17, here is what we are told, I quote, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." And not being able to buy or sell means your private property rights are being assaulted. And so America will speak like the devil and attack your three basic rights. Yes, my dear people, we are actually being told here that Christians are to suffer the loss of their rights and freedoms as persecution when they are forced by governments of the world to accept the mark of the beast. Yes, my dear people. And what is the importance of America to us? The Bible tells us that America will influence the whole world to take away the rights and freedoms of Christians. If we again read verse 12 of chapter 13 of Revelation, here is what we are told, I quote, "And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed." Did you see that? He caused the earth and those that dwell therein. The question is asked, how can America do such anti-rights and anti-freedom things like this? America can only do this because the Bible tells us that America will change. It will change from being the land of freedom to a land that advocates anti-rights and anti-freedom policies. And this, my dear people, is beginning to happen right now. In this program, we need to show you clips as to what has been going on in the United States of America. You may not know these things, but we want to give you evidence of what has been taking place in the United States of America. In this first clip, you would see in a police training session the founding fathers of the United States of America, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, etc., that gave the world republicanism, that your rights and freedoms came from God and therefore are not to be violated. These men are being identified as terrorists by the Department of Homeland Security or by the Protective Services of America. Observe what this clip is showing us.
Now flashback to Alex Jones' film Road to Tyranny and this undercover video of a FEMA representative giving a presentation to a group of police officers.
Who was the first terrorist organization in the United States? Who? Founding Fathers. Founding Fathers. You mean Thomas Jefferson? Oh, yeah. You mean George Washington? Oh, yeah. Paul Revere? Yeah. Let me ask you something. Did they try to scare people? Oh, yeah. They tried to intimidate the British. Did they use acts of violence? Your founding fathers, my founding fathers, were involved in acts of terrorism.
The rep tells the cops the first terrorist organization in the U.S. was the Founding Fathers, including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and yes, even Paul Revere.
Wasn't that just shocking? Yes, indeed. It was even shocking to me to see something like this. Now, in this second clip, the United States Constitution, which guarantees rights and freedoms in a Bill of Rights, and identifies those rights and freedoms as sacred, and the Constitution, which imposes limits to government, is now being downgraded. Movies and documentaries and books are being written and articles are being written to downgrade the US Constitution. So take a look at this clip showing you that the United States is changing because its Constitution is being downgraded in the eyes of those people.
Fox, the entertainment network founded by Rupert Murdoch and Barry Diller, is working with the federal government and the Southern Poverty Law Center in a concerted effort to demonize Americans identifying themselves as constitutionalists. And this is a new program that follows in the vein, of course, as we documented over the years, repeated, sustained attempts to demonize anybody who believes in the Constitution, libertarians, conservatives, across the political spectrum, you name it. Of course, 2011, we had the DHS-funded study, which came out and said that Americans who were, quote, reverential of liberty were likely terrorists. Then, of course, before that, we had the 2009 MIAC report, which demonized constitutionalists, Ron Paul supporters, gold owners, people who flew the Gadsden flag as terrorists, and it's been a sustained attack over the past several years.
Yes, my dear people, in this clip, you will see that conservative values, which are held by Christians, are now being called terror threats to America. They are now judging your beliefs, your systems, your values, and they are calling that a terror threat to the United States. You see how the United States is changing? It is indeed beginning to speak like a dragon.
Also, Homeland Security says people who oppose abortion or worry about the threat of illegal aliens could pose a radical threat to America. They're the ones we need to be watching at Homeland Security. Why are conservative values suddenly being singled out as a terror threat?
Alan Sekulow, Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice. How you doing, sir? Good morning to you. What do you make
Bill,
of this?
Good to see you again. Well, listen, this is outrageous. I've got the report in my hand. I've read it. I couldn't believe it when it came out. Bill, I had our office verify that it was actually correct. When I read it, there's one thing that's glaringly missing here. No discussion about the real terrorists, the Al-Qaeda cell groups and others that are located inside the United States.
It's all about domestic. It's not overseas. It literally changes the entire focus for the Department of Homeland Security has been doing.
Correct. And it says domestic terrorists, the most dangerous are single-issue domestic terrorists. And as you said, that includes pro-lifers, that includes people concerned about the issue of immigration, and returning what they call radicalized veterans from the Iraq and Gulf War. Interestingly, the whole article, the whole assessment, as they called it, is entitled Right-Wing Extremism, Radicalization, and Recruitment. I want to tell the Department of Homeland Security, do us all a favor, catch the real terrorists. Don't worry about the grandmother on the street corner holding up a pro-life sign, or some guy that legally goes in and buys a gun for hunting. And returning veterans should be handled by Veterans Affairs and make sure they're incorporated back into the society. We owe that to our veterans. But to call them terrorists is just outrageous.
I think it's interesting you bring up the veterans, because this is what the FBI is reporting now. In this report, the FBI says from October of 2001 to May of 2008, that's 7+ years, a, quote, minuscule number of veterans out of 23,000 coming home, how many are said to be linked to some right-wing radical group? 203. That's the number they're going off of.
Yeah, and there was one abortion violent act, and the guy wasn't pro-life. It was Eric Wayne Rudolph 14 years ago. Here's the problem with this. This is the direction. The message needs to be very clear here. The Obama administration here under Department of Homeland Security has allowed a new regime to come into place that basically says this: our focus is going to be on the right-wing groups, the pro-lifers, those that are opposed to various immigration policies, and they base the whole report, Bill, on this idea that we've got a new president and some people aren't happy about that. So they're using this report to stifle speech because they're trying to label all of us that are concerned about these issues. And I've litigated more pro-life cases at the Supreme Court of the United States than a lot of lawyers have. And this idea that my clients are now all right-wing radicals that are extremists and dangerous and the most violent domestic terrorists because they have a picket sign in front of an abortion clinic is preposterous. This is a flashback to 20 years ago. We won then, we'll win this again.
This next clip is even more terrible because we are being told that Christians and their Christian values are being called domestic terrorists. Because Christians hold certain Christian values, they are now being called domestic terrorists in the United States of America. You see, the country is changing, and soon the mark of the beast will be enforced, and America will encourage the world to do it. But before this happens, the change must take place. And already, the United States is changing because Christians are being identified as domestic terrorists. Yes, my dear people.
Folks, we've got a very serious situation here. I'm holding what is called the right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, fueling resurgence and radicalization and recruitment. And in it, we talked about the fact that they define pro-lifers as domestic terrorists. They put this in a Department of Homeland Security document, this official assessment, now saying pro-lifers, people that believe in end-time prophecies, people that are opposed to the administration's position on immigration, those of us that are standing up for the sanctity of life and for the sanctity of marriage, all of those are now potential, and this is what they're saying, domestic terrorists.
It's a terrorist next door that could be our bigger threat.
They call people who believe in the sanctity of life, who believe in owning firearms, who believe in serving their country in the military and coming back, who are very concerned about the policies that this nation is embarking on, spending too much money, taxing too much. It's all listed right here. These are the domestic right-wing extremists.
1 million names under the watchful eye of the United States. America's so-called terrorist watch list has hit the record number, according to one of the country's most prominent civil liberties groups.
That's a lot of people to keep track of. They're adding new people all the time.
It's a secret list that you don't know really quite how one gets on, and you don't know how you get on.
In this new clip, what we are showing you here, you would see evangelical Christians are being called terrorists. Evangelical Christians are being called terrorists. Now, how far has the United States fallen that they are now calling Christians terrorists? This shows that the end is near and that soon Christians are to be persecuted worldwide.
The Department of Defense has just issued a new list of extremists that should be watched. And on that, in fact, number one, past the Muslim Brotherhood, and past Hamas, Hezbollah. Number one, evangelical Christians. Evangelical Christians and Mormons Catholics. I think Catholics coming in at number 8. Along with the Klan and Muslim extremists. Now, I've missed all of those stories on those really bad Catholic bombings here in America. I've missed all of the fertilizer LDS bombs. I've missed all of those. I haven't seen the big evangelical cross burnings that have been happening. So maybe I've just been asleep at the switch.
So far has things advanced that the Christian website of the largest Protestant denomination in the United States, the Southern Baptist Convention, their website has been blocked by the U.S. military because of what they call hostile content. Could you imagine speaking against sodomy, speaking against other wrong things that are going on in the world? The Southern Baptist Convention, their website was blocked by the U.S. military because those things were identified as hostile content. Now, this clearly shows that changes are coming. If they can do that to the largest Protestant denomination that has millions of followers in the United States, it clearly shows that changes are coming, and soon America will speak thoroughly like the dragon and cause the whole world to persecute Christians to accept the mark of the beast.
We got an email this morning. We have confirmed this from a member of the military that the United States Army is blocking access to religious sites on government computers. Now, the individual who sent us this notice actually took a screenshot of the computer. His computer. He was trying to access SBC.net. You know what SBC stands for? Southern Baptist Convention. When he tried to access SBC.net, and that's what I want you to do. If you're in some kind of military setting, military installation, you're on a military base somewhere, and you've got access to a computer. Now, use your own time. Wait for a break or whatever. Or if you've got a spare time where something else is running in the background, see if you can access SBC.net on your computer. Now, here is the kicker. It's not even so much that access to this website has been blocked by the military, but it's the reason that's interesting. Here is right off the screenshot. The screen screen capture. The site you have requested, that's SBC.net, the Southern Baptist Convention. The site you have requested has been blocked by Team CONUS. That's C-O-N-U-S. I have no idea what that stands for, but apparently that's the people responsible for IT oversight there. The site you have requested has been blocked, catch this, due to hostile content. The site you have requested, the Southern Baptist Convention, has been blocked due to hostile content.
And in this clip, we want to show you things have reached such a stage that the U.S. military has now banned Christians from preaching. In other words, you can't preach in the military anymore. A person is going to die for his country, and you want to present Jesus Christ to him if he's fearful that he might die. It is against the law to preach any religion, to preach Christ in the U.S. military. They have literally banned people from doing this, or even having a Bible on their desk. This clip shows us this.
Investigation done by Fox News Channel's own Todd Starnes. Now, he says there is a war on religious liberty within the military and that the Christianity of service members is now coming under attack by the Obama administration. Now, the Pentagon has now gone on record explaining what will happen to any service member who is caught spreading his or her own faith. And the statement reads in part, religious proselytizing is not permitted within the Department of Defense. Court-martials and non-judicial punishments are decided on a case-by-case basis. Here to explain the situation from Fox News Radio. Todd Starnes, Fox News contributor, Democratic strategist. Jacques DeGraff, he didn't wear his minister's suit, which is totally unfair. It's an unfair advantage. It makes me look like I'm arguing with a man of the cloth.
I'll leave God to settle that one.
All right. This is a serious issue. You did an investigation. You've been able to confirm it. Tell everybody the story.
That's right, Sean. And in a nutshell, under the Obama administration, we have seen a Christian cleansing of the United States military. Dozens and dozens of instances of Christianity under attack. And this most recent incident occurred a few days ago when Mikey Weinstein, who is the head of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, had a meeting at the Pentagon where he was urging the military, to enforce regulations that he believes would result in the court-martial of anyone proselytizing, sharing their faith. The military, the Pentagon, issued a statement to me on Monday. They said that proselytizing was against the Department of Defense regulations. After our story came out earlier today, they walked back that statement and they said that they do believe in sharing your faith, that soldiers are allowed to do that. But, Sean, we're getting new information from the Air Force. The Air Force today issued a statement to me, and I want to read this. They say that proselytizing, inducing someone to convert to one's faith, goes over the line. It is not allowed. So basically, we're getting conflicting information now from the military. But one thing is very clear, that under this administration, we have seen the Christian faith come under a significant attack.
All right. Now, Weinstein is a controversial figure in and of himself. You know, he went, give us some of the reasons. He said that, for example, that it's a sedition and treason.
That's right.
And what other controversial things has he said?
Sean, Mr. Weinstein said that the act of sharing one's faith, this proselytizing, is akin to spiritual rape. This is the wording he used at the Pentagon. Now, here's the question.
He used it while selling this stupidity.
Spiritual rape. Now, here's the question. This is the same Pentagon that invites Mr. Weinstein to come in and to give his view of things. But at the same time, they're banning people like Franklin Graham from the Pentagon's National Day of Prayer. They're banning people like Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council.
Now, what are all these things showing us? All these things are showing us that the end is near, and all these events show that the final events will soon come, and then the end of the world will come. Yes, my dear people, those Christians that refuse the mark of the beast will be called domestic terrorists. They will be called extremists, and through that they will suffer the loss of their rights and freedoms because they refuse the mark of the beast. And the United States is preparing for this by the type of laws they are making, and they're going to encourage the world through the United Nations to make the same kind of laws. And so persecution is going to spread worldwide. But what does Jesus tell us? Jesus in Luke chapter 21 and verse 28 tells us this, I quote, "And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh." End of quote. Jesus is telling us that the end is near. This is what it shows, and you need to prepare for the end. Now there are a whole host of things taking place. We haven't begun to show you preachers being arrested for preaching or praying in the United States, for holding Bible studies. This clearly shows us that persecution is coming. And in our next program, we will show this to you. Now, if anyone wants this DVD, this program, and the other program that took place before, all you have to do is to call us at the numbers you see at the bottom of your screen. The numbers are 625-0446. 625-0446. Also, you have the number 755-9006. 755-9006. Call us at these two numbers, and we would hand deliver or mail to you these programs when you request them and you give your name and addresses. And what you see passing here before the screen are our various web addresses. All you have to do is to visit them, and you will get more information that tells you that the end is near. And may God bless you until we meet again as the end draws closer. In Jesus' holy name, amen.